ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of War Stories. My name, of course, is Ryan Smelts, and today we are talking about returning to training. So, in case you heard it in one of the previous episodes or one of the episodes of Morning Brews, I have been having some microphone and sound difficulties. I noticed that every time I use Zoom, it takes control of my audio devices and significantly changes some of my settings. Now that I am aware of that, I'll be able to address it. So I apologize for that in the past, and hopefully moving forward, the audio quality is better and more controlled. That being said, let's jump into it. So yesterday we were talking about me coming home on convalescent leave and what it was like getting on the plane and spending time at home. And today we're going to be talking about me going back to training. There was a new drill sergeant, or at least a different drill sergeant, when I got back, kind of picking up where I left off and finishing training, almost. So essentially, I flew back in. Of course, my unit was notified and I got picked up, taken back to training. So that was good because obviously I didn't know post very well outside of the training environment. And, just having help and support like that was not just encouraging, but also, I believe, a kind of a precursor to how the rest of the Army would be, which was essentially true, because jumping forward for a minute, I remember getting scooped up by a couple of guys at Fort Polk, which would turn out to be my first duty station. However, not revealing too much there, coming back to training, when I got back, there was a new or different drill sergeant. I am not saying that he wasn't maybe in another platoon or another training unit before that, but when I got back, I was in 3rd Platoon of Foxtrot 787, and he showed up there, so he was kind of in charge and running the show. I mention him because when it comes time to me being recycled, which will, we'll finalize this story on Friday, but I might mention it before then. Basically, he was somewhat disappointed with the way things played out. And then picking up where I left off. So basically, I have talked before about what AIT, or Advanced Individual Training, was like. I did graduate basic training before I went on convalescent leave. There is a little bit of crossover in the training for me because I got recycled. So with Foxtrot 787 and 3rd Platoon, I essentially went all the way through training, and then they had actually all graduated, and I was kind of in limbo for a minute with them before I went and got recycled. So picking up where I left off, I also remember that the new drill sergeant basically saying how he was fighting to have me finish with the training company, Foxtrot 787, but I had missed 3 major training events. And so the biggest issue was on the schedule, those training events were not occurring with other training units within a time frame that would facilitate me graduating with my existing training company. So I could obviously piggyback. The 3 training events were the Humvee course, the grenade range, and law classes. So I feel like the grenade range was probably a major training event for basic training, and the Humvee and law classes were training events, the 2 major training events for AIT. Because remember, I'm in OSIT, so one station unit training, basic training finished, go straight into AIT. However, if say we had, I don't know, 3 weeks. I have no idea how much time we had left when I got back from convalescent leave. Say we had 3 weeks left. If there were not at least 3 different other training units doing those 3 different training events within that time frame, I couldn't go piggyback with those training units and knock out the training event in order to finish my qualifications to graduate. So instead of basically, I'm not sure that there was really any other coordination or options, but essentially they just dropped me back in where they were. I went to all the classes. I did all of the training events, the practical exercises and everything with my current training unit. We talked about STEM Village before, as well as the classes taught by multiple different branches, including civilians, in STEM Village, and on many, many different topics. So, once again, I basically picked right up, finished training with them. So, I don't remember if I was with Foxtrot 787 while they went and graduated. I do remember them still being around. When I did get recycled, we got a little day pass or something, and they were in civilian clothes. I think it's because they had graduated and they essentially stuck them in holdover status, which is very similar to hold unders like we talked about before, where basically you're graduated, you're ready to go permanent party, report to your first duty station, but that date hasn't arrived, or orders haven't been cut, or the schedule, whatever the case may be. So you stay with your training unit. You probably move more to a Monday through Friday schedule, kind of standard PT, get off at 17 or 1800 type deal, and then the rest of the time you're essentially free to do whatever you want. Put on civilian clothes, go shopping, just make sure you're signing in and out and back on time and stuff like that. So holdover is obviously way different than hold under, because hold unders don't know anything, and holdovers have already graduated training. In holdover in OSIT has graduated basic and AIT. So once again, that is significantly different than a hold under. And I remember when I got to my new training unit, stumbling across them, and basically almost finishing, and the drill sergeant once again was disappointed. I missed 3 training events. He didn't really know how he could get me squeezed in on those to help me qualify so that I could graduate with that unit. It's understandable, 2 weeks in a year to take leave is next to nothing, but 2 weeks in a 21-week training cycle could mean a world of difference. So it's completely understandable. I had to get recycled. I am grateful and glad that I did not have to go to PTRP. It could have been a black hole, could have been a completely different experience for me. Instead of my military career being cut short due to injuries, and possibly me coming home and being one of the ones that said I was going to join, but I didn't make it out of basic. And who's to say that would have happened? But I ended up doing 10 years, so pretty excited. Things played out like that. Kind of sucked that training took me so long, but tomorrow we're going to get into some of the names that I remember from Foxtrot 787. Friday we'll talk about being recycled into the new training company, and I will go over a handful of names from there. And both of these include some people I still talk to this day, even though basic training for me was 17 plus years ago. So hopefully, if you enjoy this episode, leave us a 5-star review. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast. Most importantly, tell your friends to subscribe as well. My name is Ryan Smeltz. This is War Stories, and I will see you on tomorrow's episode.